If my people, Bible reading part 232, we are in the book of Revelation of Yeshua, and we are in chapter 18. And this is the woe times. The Babylon the Great has fallen. Um, we equate that to not Babylon in Iraq. The Babylon is the behavior and actions of the people who get into great power. That can be seen through um, what's happening today. I kind of give you an example. If you take 100 people on this earth and you give them $100, within 30 years, one person will have 90% of the money in their pocket. It's like playing the game of Monopoly, which is capitalism that's gone wild, by the way. Socialism is 100 times worse. And communism is worse on worse because communism is basically there is no God but me. So people who are capitalists who have gone evil have gone socialist who have gone capitalist. It used to be, but using communism they take it all. So USSR, that's not Russia, but the old USSR, United Socialist Government back in from 45 until about 1991. They had 99% of the money to 1% of the population, and they were in charge, and everybody else just got nothing. Well, in capitalism today, we have 99% of the people have 1%, and 1% has 99%. And they don't believe in God either, but they call themselves capitalist. And the people that are fighting with them right now call themselves socialist, left-wing communists. They don't mind. They are, and they know they are. And they have the same. They have the same thing. The 1% of the super rich want all the money, and they want it all. They want. They don't want 99%. They want 100% of it. If you can take over the restaurant business these days, you even own all the food, don't you? And so who's fighting them? Well, that's about 1% of the people out there are communists, and they want it all too, in the name of socialism. And the rest of us, only Yah is going to have to fix this mess. So here we are reading about Babylon. That's all the cities. It's always the cities that are destroying everything. Verse 18 in chapter 18. Every sea captain, in other words, all those on the ships, sailors, all who earn a living from the sea, will stand far off. When they see the smoke for burning, they will exclaim, was ever there a city just like this great city? That could be Shanghai, Hong Kong, Macau, um, Mumbai, London, San Francisco, LA, New York. Name one. The greed and the evil is just everywhere these days in the cities. They will throw dust on their heads and weeping and mourning cry out, woe, woe, great city, where all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth. In just 1 hour she's been brought to ruin, which not just 60 minutes, but quickly. It's come quickly. This is December of 2020, and I could say 10 months ago, no one had a clue what would be going on right now. And if they did, they thought, oh, it'll be over in a week or two. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be over. Friends of mine and I've known that went to China back in 75. People wore a mask on their faces in 1975, and guess what? They were told it was just for a while till the smoke cleared from the pollution of the cities. Yeah, they're still wearing masks. Just telling you. Verse 20, Torah. Rejoice over her, O heaven. Rejoice, saints and apostles and prophets. Yahweh has judged her for the way she treated you. He's telling you to rejoice over mass fallout of the Babylonian cities all over the world. Interesting. Chapter 19, verse 5. Then a voice came over from the throne, saying, Praise our Yahweh, all you his servants who fear him, both small and great. It's over. And we are to praise. And that's a Torah command that doesn't ever end. Verse 7, Let us rejoice and be glad and give him glory, for the wedding of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. Who is the bride? Shepherds. Those who hear and obey the word now. They don't wait for Yeshua's return. They're doing it now. They're proving themselves. Who else? Who else rules? Those that were beheaded in the name, defending the name. When you go back to the 7 churches, you proclaim the name of Yeshua and you don't back down from it. There you go. The other 5 churches, they're going through iron scepter rule for a millennium. And who's in charge? Yeshua. He's going to be doing iron scepter rule? That sounds kind of rough, doesn't it? Yeah, it's called discipline. And there's going to be an army of heaven come down to do his bidding. That's in chapter 19. And he's got a name written on his robe. Finally, the King of Kings, the Master of Masters, Lord of Lords. Your Bible probably says. And the beast. And the kings of the earth and their armies, this is verse 19, gathered together to make war against the rider on the horse and his army, Yeshua. But the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who had performed the miraculous signs on his behalf. Who's left? Hasatan. Is he captured? He's taken out of the way, but he'll be brought back. He'll be allowed to come out after the millennium and go after the world again one last time. Why? Because those born during the millennium will also have to go through the testing that everybody else has since Adam and Eve. They're not getting it. They're not getting off scot-free. So yeah. And will some people go? I don't know. It doesn't say much, but it just says it ends quickly. We pray that it doesn't happen while Yeshua is walking the face of this earth and you're going through the royal Torah, you're living the 10 commandments, the 2 royal commandments, the 2 highest ones, and the new covenant Torah that you're getting here. When I get done with Revelation, we're going to go through all the categories of the new covenant. And there's any one of them, it's easy to follow. It's not confusing at all. I would have to admit, after years and years of trying to do the Torah studies in Old Covenant, following all these other ways I was taught, it was very difficult. If I went to 50 different rabbis and sat down and talked about the 613 Torah laws and the most important, I would get 50 different answers. With the 1,050 Torah commands here, you don't get that. It's right there in front of you. And in this Bible, it's highlighted. You can't miss it. Great big, bold, black letters. Now, chapter 20. And I saw a messenger come down of heaven, having the key to an abyss, and holding in his hand a great chain. And he seized that dragon, that ancient serpent who is the accuser, Hasatan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him in the abyss, and locked the seal, and put it over him for deceiving the nations until the 1,000 years had ended. Now, let me read this. I saw thrones on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge, and I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Yeshua and because of the word of Yahweh. They had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received a mark on their foreheads and or their hands. They did not think, and they did not do what the Antichrist wanted. They came to life. They reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. They came to life. They were resurrected. But doesn't the Bible say that every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess? Yes, it does say that. But this is the first resurrection. This is the first fruits. Does that say everybody who's a Christian is transformed during the millennium? No. Does it say that any one of the Christians rules and reigns with Messiah for 1,000 years? No. Were you beheaded? Are you dead? It says here they were beheaded and dead. When you're beheaded, you're usually dead. So where is this Mr. Minister, Pastor, Christian guy who's name it and claim it happiness churches out there, that you're all going to be just flying through the air, magically transformed? This does happen. It does happen. But it doesn't happen 50, 60 times. Or even 5 or 6 times. Or even 3 or 4 times, which you claim it would have to based upon your own statements. Because if you go by the word, there is a resurrection. It is those who were beheaded, who were dead, who lived and reigned. How do we know that? Let's go to verse 5, chapter 20. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy are those who have part in the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them. But they will be priests of Yahweh and Messiah and will reign with him 1,000 years. If you're a priest with Messiah, who are you reigning over? Evil people? Or sheep? When the 1,000 years are over, Hasatan will be released from his prison and will go out and deceive the nations in the 4 corners of the earth. Gog and Magog, it's all up north, to gather them for battle. In number they will be like the sand of the seashore, like the Chinese army, 200 million strong. That's a lot of them, isn't it? They marched across the breadth of the earth to surround the camp of Yahweh's people, the city he loves, but fire came down from heaven and devoured them. So it's like, it's over. But the accuser who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. Earth and sky fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne. So if they were resurrected before the millennium, now it's 1,000 years later, they're still dead, standing there. Understand? And the books were open. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they'd done, as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each person was judged according to what he had done. So if it's all the bad, evil people, so that means if there's 500 million or 12 billion people standing there, everyone's going to lose? Why have a judgment? Why just do it all stand? Okay, off to fire and brimstone you go. There's something happening here. All the dead were raised. If anyone's, now that is a resurrection. So if you're the other Christian who believes in multiple ones, that's the third resurrection. Just how many are you going to have? Then I saw heaven and a new heaven and a new earth. That's chapter 21. We're going to read chapter 21 and 22 in the next reading. Just chew on that a little bit. How many resurrections are there? There's one of Yeshua. Think about that. And then when we start the next one, we'll talk about it. Just think. Read it. Read 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 again. Just slowly read it. And then we'll go back to Genesis.